Cool. Got it. I have to acknowledge my own recording. Cool, guys. So my name is John Gould. I know a lot of you guys. Thanks, Rob. I can keep the timer on my side too. That's cool. I'm a traveling chiropractor. I can tell you a little about myself. I want to talk about muscles today for the showcase. I'm happy to teach you guys anything that I know. Muscles are a super common topic. Everybody likes to talk about them. They want to know how to like stretch, strengthen, work on certain things. So I'm going to talk about a principle called post-isometric relaxation and teach you kind of how to use it to stretch pretty much any skeletal muscle that you would want to stretch. So this is cool. So I'll give you tools that you can use on your own. I'm a chiropractor. I've been doing this for about 10 years. I grew up in Oakland and Bergen County. I played a lot of golf. I did a lot of skiing. My in-laws love skiing. They're from Switzerland and Germany. So like they help me ski all over the place. I ski in New York State, which is awesome. And I went to Colorado twice this year. So if I missed some of your messages, it's because I was skiing this year and I regret nothing. So, but I'm back. It's not ski season anymore and back in action. I've worked 4 or 5 years in a commercial space, and the last year and a half, I said, I'm going to give that up. And I work with a lot of women's health professionals. So I work on expecting moms and babies and kids. And I do a couple of different chiropractic disciplines and a cranial, which is like 150-year-old craniosacral osteopathic type of discipline. So if you want to know about that, I can help you about that. I guess that's about it. Married, I live in Upper Saddle River, which is kind of North Bergen County. I have a New York license. Sometimes I make my way into New York State, depending on where people want me to go. I don't cross the Hudson River that often, but I worked for 2 years in Manhattan. So every once in a while I'll go into Manhattan too. But yeah, other than that, driving around northern New Jersey for the most part. Sometimes I'm in North Jersey, sometimes I'm in the Lincoln Tunnel, sometimes I'm by Morristown, and I just drive around. Let's see. What do we got? I got about 6 minutes left. Muscles. So muscles are a super common topic. They're super common for orthopedics and physical therapy and fitness and massage. And there's 100 different disciplines that work their way around muscles. So some fun facts, we have about 600 muscles in the body, and they do a variety of different things. And they're broken into 3 categories. So there's skeletal muscle, which is like most of the muscles that you move our limbs and stuff. And there's cardiac muscle, and that is a heart muscle. And that one is special based on its connections and some of its gap junctions and chemical properties. And then smooth muscle is the 3rd type. So if we don't think about moving something and it moves by itself, generally that's smooth muscle. It works on our digestive tract and the muscles of our pupils and our eyes and our vessels and arteries. So smooth muscle, it works completely different than skeletal muscle. And anything that we can control ourselves, that's skeletal muscle. So our skeletal muscle is controlled by our primary cortex in our brain and is coordinated by a couple higher brain centers in the cerebellum. And it's perfect lined nerve innervation. So one muscle goes to one little spot in the brain. So we can control them. We can control how much they contract, how much they stretch, how much force they generate. And that is generally where people ask me about. They ask me about skeletal muscle. The longest skeletal muscle is called sartorius. It's on our leg. The smallest skeletal muscles are actually in our inner ear. The most active skeletal muscles are our eye movements. So they move at about, they move 10 or 15,000 fasciculations per hour. If we're like reading a book, our eyes are going crazy. So those are like the fastest, most active ones. The hardest working muscle is the heart muscle. It works continuously all day long, all day, and it pumps about 2,500 gallons of blood around your body every day from the moment that you are born to the moment that you die. So super hard worker. Most people, if they injure a muscle, they do it because they use muscles improperly. Muscles are pulleys or ropes. So you can think of muscles as pulleys or ropes, and they have these little fibers that cross each other. They're called actin and myosin, and they like ratchet and row past each other, and that's how muscles shorten. So most people hurt themselves when they want to like push or lift something with their muscles, and they're really not meant to do that. So if you think of protecting yourself by pulling objects towards you, stabilizing things by pulling muscles towards you and shortening them for stability. That's the best way that you can think about movement. Okay, teaching time. Post-isometric relaxation. So the body is organized through nerves and reflexes. So if I move my arm straight, my body turns on certain muscles and it turns off other muscles, and it uses reflexes to do that. Your body just does that by itself. It has mirror neurons and motor neurons and parallel processing. So if I turn on my biceps, my brain is pretty smart and it says, hey, I'm going to make that muscle movement easier. I'm going to turn off my triceps. So you can use these little reflexes to help stretch certain muscles. So that's what I'll teach you today. So post-isometric relaxation. This is how you do it. You take a muscle that you want to stretch and you slightly lengthen the muscle, and then you turn the muscle on and then you stretch in the opposite direction. And it sounds really complicated, but I'm going to teach you how to do it right now for neck muscles because everybody has tight neck muscles.
According to my clock, John.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's perfect. All right. So the upper trap and the levator scap are very strong neck muscles, and most people are tight on top of their shoulder blades and upper back. So what you do is you tilt your head forward and you turn your head to the left if you want to stretch the right one. And then what you do, everybody do this, take your hand, put it on the back of your head. And I want you just with like maybe 20% pressure, push your head back into your hand and then hold for 6 seconds. Good. And after you're done for 6 seconds, what you do is you turn your head to the opposite direction and you take your head and your hand on the crown of your head and you push down and forward slightly, and you should feel more stretch. You can do the same with a hamstring. You can do the same thing with a glute muscle. You can do the same thing with the shoulder. You can do the same thing with the elbow. So what you do is you take the muscle, lengthen it, push back and activate the muscle that you want to stretch, and then you should be able to stretch that muscle further. And this works great for muscles that you can't reach, or muscles, say you're pregnant and you're like, I have a belly in the way and I can't really stretch my legs the way I want to. What you can do while you're sitting at your desk, if you want to stretch your hip flexor, you take your foot, you move it away from your body, you lift your leg up into the desk and hold and hold and hold. And then you swing your leg to the side and you stretch your leg backwards. And you can do this just as a reflex, and it works great. So the principle is called post-isometric relaxation. And if you want to stretch a certain muscle, you just Google post-isometric relaxation or PIR and the muscle. And YouTube will teach you how to do pretty much anything. So I hope that's a little tidbit. If you have very specific questions for me about yourself, happy to field any of those. General questions, happy to field those too. And yeah, good stuff.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, John. I learned so much stuff. My neck feels better, actually. Does anybody have questions for John? Really?
I do.
Okay.
So on top of the neck stuff, John, you know, a lot of us are sitting at our desks a lot of the time. You know, I've always taught ergonomics, right? Have everything at 90-degree angles, but what should we do to prevent, you know, straining our backs or other muscles while we're sitting all day? What do you suggest we do?
Yeah, good question. Getting up and moving around and taking breaks is good. There's basic upper back postural exercises called Straighten Up America. Those are awesome. That's an actual website and program. That's good for like between your torso and the top of your shoulders. So there's exercises you can do to just oppose flexed sitting postures. You can use some of the post-isometric relaxation type of work, where if you want to stretch kind of chest muscles, you can stretch your arm forward, push against resistance, and then stretch your pec and chest muscles backwards. You can do arm circles. There's postural based low back exercises that work pretty well. There's smaller movements that people don't really do as far as coordinated movements, like little translations and rotations and side bends. There's these small movements that people don't, they kind of fall asleep when you sit at a desk for a long time. So those I can demonstrate, or offline I can show you a couple things. And the idea is to introduce kind of motion and flexibility to those joints that kind of get stagnant when you sit. So
Hey, Gene, we should have him as an after party presenter or a before presenter. I would love that, John. Thank you so much.
yeah, of course.
He's gonna
Lot-
come
lot
on.
to do.
We're gonna do another third Tuesday lunch and learn with John. We're gonna figure out how to do that. We're gonna pair some people up and get John on to do that.
Okay.
Karen and then James, and then we're gonna close this part out. So what do you got, Karen?
Thanks, John. What do you think of foam rollers? Using a foam roller on your back?
On your back itself, foam rollers are good. I guess that's a loaded question. It depends what you want to foam roll and what you're working on. I have no problem with foam rollers. I give people like lacrosse balls and tennis balls and golf balls and foam rollers. And if people want to do some home mobility type of work, I think that's great. It works on trigger points. It works on kind of getting the muscles and fascia to slide past each other. And I think that's great. I think some people try to roll stuff that's not contractile. So they'll roll like connective tissue bands. I don't know if that helps that much, but lots of people have tight hamstrings, tight quads, tight calves. Foam rollers are great for working on those types of things. Lat attachments, upper trap, some of the big flat muscles, foam rollers are a really good tool. Yeah.
James, what's your question? You're on mute. You're on mute, James.
There we go. Yeah, John, great talk. Do you do like northern New Jersey?
Yeah, I live in Upper Saddle River, so
Okay.
I'm in all of Bergen County. Sometimes I'm in Central Jersey. There's a couple of birth centers and kind of women's health groups. Sometimes there's a lot of young new families in near the Lincoln Tunnel in Weehawken in West New York, Hoboken. So yeah, I'd love to do more work in North Jersey because I don't have to drive as far. But well, yeah. So I'm in Glen Rock, Fair Lawn, Ridgewood, Saddle River, Ramsey, Mahwah. Yeah, anything right in the middle of Bergen County is super convenient for me.
Great
Thank
job, John. I'm gonna kill. Oh, I don't mean that. I'm gonna stop the video. Hold on one second.